Welcome, you nerds. This is another edition of Daily Nerd News, a little extra on top of our normal Saturday show. And today, I have a very special guest joining me, Morissa, right?
Morissa.
So, Morissa, tell us a little bit about your passion and what you do, and then we'll get on to our nerdy goodness.
Awesome. Well, I'm a proud nerd. I used to write for Entertainment Weekly. I wrote the South Park recaps and even Here Comes Honey Boo Boo and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia recaps for Entertainment Weekly for about 2 years. And I wrote for Nerdalicious and Nerd Approved and a few other nerdy places. But now I own a book publishing company called Gen Z Publishing and a marketing company. And I have a doctorate in literature, and I wrote my dissertation on nihilistic libertarianism and pop culture. So big pop culture nerd here. Very much looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I was like I was saying before we got started here, I was telling Morissa that I was deep diving into her TikTok and her Instagram, and there's a lot of good stuff right there. That stuff will be listed in the description, those links. So be sure to check her out and give her some support after once you watch this video. All right, so our first topic of today, I want to start with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. What could happen in this movie? I will start out by saying that I think this would be a missed opportunity if they don't start mutant teasing in this movie, because especially T'Challa's long history with Storm. I think it'd be perfect to introduce Storm in this movie. What do you think, Morissa?
That would be awesome. I'm still broken about Killmonger. I know that for all of his issues and stuff, I thought he was such an amazing character. I wish they didn't kill him off. I wish they worked like their Marvel magic to bring him back in some way. But more than anything, I have it right here. I want Sherry to take a bigger place in it. She's so brilliant. She does so much. And I want a movie just of her.
I would agree. She's such a great character. I could see her either giving her the mantle, because unfortunately, they have announced that when we enter this movie, T'Challa will be dead, some way or the other. So I could see them giving Shuri the mantle. Originally, I thought they were gonna because you know how Kevin Feige and Disney had to bend comments and stuff. I thought they were gonna make Shuri Ironheart. I always thought that's where they were going with it.
Yeah.
But they announced that on Disney Plus that Riri Williams Ironheart is actually getting her own series. So, so she won't be Ironheart. So, so maybe she will be Black Panther.
Yeah, that would be cool. She's so much brain shake. Not that Black Panther isn't smart. I don't know, some kind of that her science brain and stuff, she would bring a whole other dimension to that, of being able to not only be so strong and all that, but to, she can heal people, she can invent stuff, and she's probably one of the smartest people I think in the entire MCU. So yeah,
I think they even mentioned that in a film or two.
Yes.
Yeah, that somebody mentioned, one of the characters mentioned, you're smarter than Tony, you're smarter than yeah.
It's true. The way that she basically brought Bucky back from the dead. Iron Man couldn't do that. Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see where they go with her character. I definitely think I can see her taking the mantle. If not her, then who do you give it to? There's not that really many people that would make sense unless you bring in a totally new person.
Right.
That comes in and takes over the mantle. But at that point, wouldn't you just want to just recast T'Challa? But I know that's a tricky subject right there. But yeah, I always thought she was going to be Ironheart. But at least we're actually getting an Ironheart, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, so I feel like if they don't introduce Storm, they'll be missing out. Hopefully they do, because they gave the rights to X-Men now, and you can open with sometime between 1 and 2, Storm and T'Challa did meet, and they're married, and they're the royal couple, and you could open with T'Challa's funeral, and you see Storm grieving or whatever.
Right.
I guess
that'd be heartbreaking.
But I could see something like that.
I wonder if they're going to do that though. How are they going to acknowledge, that death? Because it's not only in the movies, then it's going to be, it's in real life. So how are they they're always tactful, but they've never had anything like that happen. I mean, in, what is it, 11, 12 years of MCU films and shows, they haven't lost any main actors like that, except Stan Lee, of course. Well, he's, his cameos and stuff, but supposedly they're having Deadpool now replace Stan Lee's cameos.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I wonder how that would be for some of the more PG rated films, like Big Hero 6, they're making a sequel to that, like having Deadpool pop up in that. It's going to be interesting.
Like I said, did you see that trailer for a Free Guy or whatever?
Yes. So meta, so perfect. Yeah, that was great, and that was a great pairing. I forgot the other guy's name. Krog. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, him and Krog. That was great. That was fantastic. Because Krog is so nice.
And like you said, it was so meta because you had Taika Waititi who plays Krog. He's also in Free Guys, and Ryan Reynolds in Free Guys. Yeah. It was so awesome. So I'm hoping that's the case. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. Where are you?
Yeah, no worries. I don't know if this is one of the main points. Well, it's definitely a main point, but just on the subject of Deadpool, a Deadpool Spider-Man movie. Now that they have those rights, with that, I mean, there's nothing stopping that, and that'd be amazing because the Deadpool Spider-Man comics are probably the funniest that have ever existed in the MCU. That'd be amazing. So I would like to see them interacting on the big screen.
Yeah, and that brings in the other thought because there's this there's a big question mark on Spider-Man after Far From Home. I mean, No Way Home, because if I remember right, that's the last movie on his on the Sony Disney agreement. Right.
They are making a new one. I know that's in effect. They released, I feel like a teaser, maybe not a teaser. There was something that definitely was just released. They are making another one. They came out with a name. I can't think of the name. I could Google it really quick. But
you mean after No Way Home?
Yeah. Wait. Oh, wait. No.
Are you thinking about No Way Home?
I'm thinking of No Way Home. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So No Way Home. Right. So then there's the Sony thing. Yeah. What's going to happen? Exactly.
I could see Sony being like, we want them back. And, because, they're already trying to build their own universe, like with Venom and Morbius and all those other properties. And there's been this discussion of a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah.
So I could see them being like, we want our Spider-Man back, but also why ruin a good thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. And Venom really tore people apart. I personally couldn't stand it. I thought it was just so, I don't know, it wasn't good. But it felt more kiddish, I guess. It felt more like the 90s Batman, kind of just cartoony in some ways. Yeah, it wasn't for me. So I really hope they don't take Spider-Man because I feel like they would Venomize it, that kind of, yeah. Did
the trailer for number 2 get you at all?
No. I'm not into. Yeah, I like Topher Grace's portrayal better. That's saying a lot. Not
many people would say that.
They wouldn't. Tom Hardy was just so. I don't know. It was maybe I just always see him as Bane. It was too much for me.
And Tom Hardy, for some people, he does have a tendency to overact.
Yeah, exactly.
He's always really deep. What's the word they put on that method?
Yeah. So. Yeah, Jared Leto. But Tom Hardy's portrayal, if you remember the sugar water guy from Men in Black, who was just I need sugar water. It reminded me of that. He was playing that guy as Venom. I don't know.
No, I could definitely see that point. But I'm excited for the new director. I think the fact that tip my tongue, what's his name?
The new Spider-Man director?
New Venom director.
Oh, I didn't know they had a new director.
Andy Serkis. There we go.
Oh.
Andy Serkis is directing this one. So that kind of interests me.
Yeah.
Because he's also Andy Serkis is also going to be the new Alfred, by the way.
Oh.
In the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson. So
No, has he directed a lot? Because he was also in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that he directed. I knew him as an actor. I knew him as Gollum and like Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know him as a director. That's interesting.
And Claw in Black Panther, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes from that to doing a Sony direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe this is his second movie. His first one was Mowgli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Man of many, many talents. That's a person who I've never seen him do a bad performance, like, ever. Just so much talent.
Yeah, so I'm excited where he takes it because I think if you have a good director and a bad script, you can make a okay movie, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
If you have a bad script and a bad director, you're going to have an awful movie. But I think you can redeem a poor script with a good director.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm really excited, actually, more excited to see him as Alfred. I wonder how he's going to do with that role.
Yeah, he seems young for Alfred.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Alfred's usually like, Michael Caine, or before Michael Caine, actually, that guy looked like he was like 95, like really, really feeble. I don't think feeble one. I think Andy Serkis. So.
Well, we recently had Jeremy Irons as well, though, too.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I guess they're making him younger. It's almost like Aunt May, where they just keep getting younger and younger. Yeah, the Sam Raimi version. I mean, again, she was like 90, like Aunt May. Are you sure it isn't great Aunt May? And now it's like Marissa Tomei, and yeah.
Disney, they like to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see there. Actually, this next topic I'm actually more excited about. And that's Suicide Squad. I am so excited for this movie. And that's saying something because I was really disappointed in the first one.
Yeah, and that's why I was so excited for the first one. Like, that was, oh my gosh. The trailers, everything. It just, I thought there was no way in heck that it would be any way, shape, or form not amazing. And I was so disappointed by it that I'm keeping my guard up. I'm like, don't get your hopes up on this one because of just how badly the first one let us down. But I mean, with the new director and everything, hopefully, Guardians is great. Guardians 2 is even better. So hopefully.
Yeah. James Gunn, it seems it's like a perfect fit, right?
Yeah.
Like going from Guardians of the Galaxy to the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Seems like a perfect fit because you both are like, this Monty crew, not really good guy, dynamic outcast, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And so going from Guardians of the Galaxy to Suicide Squad is not a big stretch. Yeah. I guess originally they offered him Superman and he didn't want it. I don't know if you heard about that.
I didn't hear about that. Yeah. Superman is one who's always been just so, I don't know, boring. So that was a good call on his part.
Yeah, he countered with the Suicide Squad, which is so James Gunn. They basically offered him the world at his fingertips, the DC world at his fingertips. It's like, you have any property. We're currently looking for a Superman director, but you can have anything you want. And he's like, I want the Suicide Squad.
That was a smart move.
So I'm really excited. Did you recently see the tweet? It's been probably a week or two that James Gunn put out with like the characters that didn't make the cut.
No, I didn't.
Let me see if I can bring that up. But it was a lot of like so meta characters, like characters like it's so James Gunn. Let's see if I can bring this up.
I liked Birds of Prey. Like, I feel like they're definitely going in the right direction at DC. Like, Marvel still reigns supreme, but they're going in the right direction there. Although the new Wonder Woman could have been an hour shorter and I would have been much happier with it.
So as you see here, there's see how many of these characters test your nerd knowledge here. Test mine too, because I probably won't know most of these. Do you recognize any in the first pick there?
I do not. My goodness. Oh, well, wait. That looks like Catwoman, the first one, but it probably isn't. That looks like Bane, but probably isn't. That obviously looks like they're like alternate dimension Harley and Joker.
Killer Frost, I think.
Oh. Okay.
I have no idea who those people
are. That's like alternate dimension Harley and Joker. And that looks a lot like Bane.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And that's Deadshot. I mean Deathstroke. Deathstroke. That's Deathstroke. And then we got
Looks like an alternate Batman, like an evil Batman. I mean, it's a bat and a man. Oh, she looks really familiar.
yeah,
I know her. I can't think of from where.
some glob dude.
Looks like he's from what is that? Ghostbusters.
See,
that looks like Deadpool, because Deadpool, they basically ripped Deadpool off of a DC character, and the creator admitted that and kind of made it a joke.
Solomon Grundy, I know who that is. Have you heard of him?
No.
I have no idea.
The rainbow creature, I like him. He's cool looking.
But this is so Gunn.
Yeah.
And then of course you have I think that's
Poison Ivy, yeah.
So yeah, that's Gunn for you.
That's very cool.
But he was like sent that out as like teasing what could happen possibly in the future.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Now, as far as answering this question, is it going to be any good? Is it going to be worth watching? I do believe it's going to be. Like I touched on, because James Gunn has control of it. I'm hoping he stays around. I was kind of annoyed when Disney shunned him off and like basically kicked him to the curb.
Yeah.
And DC's like, hey, come join our family. And then Disney's like, psych, we want you back.
Yeah, that was so weird. I haven't seen anybody else do that. Like, usually people are canceled, that's it. But with him,
and
I don't know what happened.
We want you back to direct Guardians. Yeah. And so now he's going back to direct Guardians 3.
Yeah.
And my worry is he's going to stay in the Marvel camp and not come back to DC. I hope not.
I wonder if he could be a double agent. I mean, he is a double agent right now. I'm surprised they went back to Disney. Like, they must have offered him a pretty penny, because I don't know that I would have gone back if somebody would have done that to me. Like,
the way he was treated on his exit, like it wasn't nice.
No.
And I'm not saying that Gunn was totally in the right. Like from a business point of view, the tweets and stuff that they were referencing, even though they were way in the past, was still, horrific.
Yeah.
But if any employer treated you like that and gave you a call back like, hey, you want your job back, you'd probably be hesitant to say yes.
Exactly.
So I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm hoping, like you said, he is a double agent where he directs two new Suicide Squad movies after this, or maybe does a whole different franchise in DC, and continues, maybe takes up something else in Marvel. Maybe just works on both, because this is kind of unprecedented, because Gunn's really the first one to do it.
Yeah.
You've had actors jump back and forth.
I can't think of anybody who.
Zachary Levi was in Thor.
Good one. Yeah. But that is rare too. Oh, and Ryan Reynolds, of course. Green Lantern to Deadpool.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. But it is pretty rare. They do seem to be a pretty tight-knit family, especially at Marvel. I mean, you see, even on their social media, you always see Ryan Reynolds hanging with Hugh Grant and, Captain America and Tony Stark are friends in real life, like all that kind of stuff. Like, they seem legitimately close, at least the main cast.
I would agree. I think had a thought. Where'd it go? There, great. So like, I think that you're exactly right. And one thing I have noticed, like, you're never going to see like a Chris Evans like go play like Green Hood or something like that, right? Like, you're never going to see that big of a crossover, I think, in actors, because I think you're right. They're a tight knit group when it comes to that, like, Captain America, Iron Man, your key point characters. But like, when you have like a side character like Zachary Levi was in Thor, right, you do see a lot of that them going back and forth.
Absolutely.
I read this one, and this could be taken with a grain of salt because the site I read it from, but I read this report that Robert Downey Jr. wants to join the DCU.
That's surprising. I mean, it makes kind of sense, because I guess they're not going to bring Tony back, but I don't know. I would be really surprised if he jumped ship like that.
And who would he play? That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, even actually, you know what? Andy Serkis is probably the biggest example that you just said.
Oh,
He was in Marvel, yeah, and now he's directing at DC. So I guess Disney will probably wind up buying DC too. They buy everything. So
I'm hoping not. I really want the separation just because
Right?
I like the choice, right?
Yeah.
I don't want everything to be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and also it's almost the difference between like a geek and a nerd. You can tell a lot about somebody whose favorite, that DC is their favorite versus somebody who likes Marvel. It's the same kind of thing like South Park versus Family Guy. If somebody says to me, "Oh, I don't like South Park, but I like Family Guy," I know a lot about them right off the bat. So it's the same thing with Marvel and DC.
It's a personality test, right?
Yep, 100. Oh, same thing with, were you a Nickelodeon kid, a Disney kid, or a Cartoon Network kid? Whatever the person's answer is tells you so much about them.
Yeah, Nickelodeon kid right here.
Same here. Yeah, the answers are Nickelodeon, South Park, and Marvel for me.
And for me, like when it comes to Marvel and DC, it really depends on the medium you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe DC kills it in animation. Like their animated movies are amazing to me. I think they really do really good with them. Their live action movies need some work.
Mm-hmm. Fair point.
Of course, animation, I think DC kills it.
Although the Spider-Verse, Marvel's making a name for themselves. They won the Academy Award. What was that like when that came out? So
they're trying.
They're trying.
Yeah. But also, I don't think they really dabble in animation that much, Marvel.
Yeah. No.
They really don't have, because like DC, they do like they make their comic books, and you have like the Justice League Dark movie, and you have the Killing Joke movie, and they do a lot with those type of things. So, but yeah, so my answer is kind of split on that.
That makes sense. I talk to a lot of people who they're the mainstream kind of, so when it comes to mainstream live action, DC, Marvel, but yeah, you're 100% right with the animations. I know, I grew up with like Teen Titans and stuff, so yeah. I can't think of any Marvel shows that were like that tentpole, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also say and this may be more controversial, this statement here, but I would also say that in general, DC does TV better.
Interesting. Yeah.
When you're talking about the Flash, Arrow, Titans, Doom Patrol, I think they're more innovative in their shows.
Yeah. I know Marvel is making big strides with Disney Plus, where, you have the new Loki show, and they're like pushing the envelope a little bit with some of their themes. You have WandaVision. That's different. Yeah, so I think they're trying, but yeah, the DC is definitely more established in that. I think of even Batgirl a few years ago, or Catwoman. They had the Catwoman show. I didn't watch it, but that only lasted like a season. But besides that, I think, they've had a lot of big hits. Supergirl, oh my gosh, the biggest Smallville. That was like the biggest hit of the 2000s. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And isn't, it may have not started that way, but isn't Supernatural a comic book property?
Ooh.
And I think it's under DC.
That is a good question. I'm looking that up.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's part of the DC database. Yeah. Oh, because it's a CWWB show. Mm-hmm. Wow. I never realized that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I actually never and my sister's going to hate me for this because she's was a massive fan, but I never actually sat down and watched a full episode of Supernatural.
Me neither. I know it because the guy from Gilmore Girls is in it. So I went to a restaurant, they had it on. I watched the scene. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I should probably watch it. Never watched it. Because it's almost like it's too late, because the show has been on for like 20 years. So if you go back to the beginning, I did this with, I can't think of that David Lynch show. I did that with the X-Files. I tried to sit down, and it's like from the 90s, and it's just so different, and it's hard to get into. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
How did you feel about WandaVision, by the way? You touched on that a bit.
Yeah. I didn't finish it yet. But yeah, I like that it's the different styles and stuff. She's not my favorite character. I always kind of, I don't know, just, yeah. Like when they have their powers, like, okay, she's a witch. I just can't get into as much as like, okay, I was bitten. Like it just, it's not as natural of a superpower to me. That probably sounds weird, but like I had the same kind of issue with Thor at first, and you could technically say Superman is also like a god, but I just like the superheroes who grew up normal and then got their superpowers. Like I can relate to them more, and I just never fully got that with Wanda. I don't know.
I'm glad I'm not alone there.
Okay, good.
Because I could not get into WandaVision at all. That first episode, and my girlfriend was like, and I've heard this from more than just her. She's like, you have to get through the first 3 episodes and you're good. And to me, that's not a good testament of a show.
Yeah.
If you start out by saying you're going to love it, but the first 3 episodes, it's a job of a show to hook you from episode 1. You shouldn't have to struggle to get to a good point. Right.
That's definitely true. I mean, look at like Breaking Bad, the greatest show of all time. Like you're hooked from the first 2 minutes.
Right.
Same with like Better Call Saul. So yeah. I definitely get that.
It was such a struggle. And that's where I currently sit is I watched episode 1 and like half of 2. And that's where I'm at in my queue right now. And I never went back to it because it just felt way too, one, they were trying to be, I think, too meta with the winking to the camera and the references to other TV shows. That, and you're trying to do so much with a character that has so little, I hate to say, but, in the comics, Scarlet Witch is not a huge deal. Well, Scarlet Witch and Vision both, right? Vision more so than Scarlet Witch is bigger deal, but they're trying to make her, like better word, an A+ player when she's kind of like the B or C team, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I hate to say it that way, but it's just the truth, right?
Yeah. And that accent, I can't get past the accent. I don't know why they have to give all their female characters like weird accents that they wind up like losing. Where the first, she had that heavy fake Russian accent. Her and the fast guy, I'm going blank, but her brother, they both had those really fake accents. And that Quicksilver, they had those really thick accents, and then it just like disappears and gets weird and comes out all of a sudden. And they did a similar thing with Black Widow. It's like, why do you need to do that to all your female characters? Like I don't get it.
Like it comes and goes. It comes and goes. It's just like, oh yeah, I forgot I didn't have this accent.
Yeah. And they're always like Russian, like vaguely Russian. And I'm like, why?
Well, with Black Widow, somewhat makes sense, but if you're gonna do it, commit to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't just have it come and go. Yeah. But also I would say that's the one thing that bugged me with Scarlet Witch, and you touch on Quicksilver. That pairing in general was because at the time they didn't have the rights to really do the mutant thing.
Yep.
It just bugged me the way they were introduced in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which by the way, do you know who their father is?
No.
Magneto.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I was confused with that too, because then at the same time they had X-Men come out and they had Quicksilver played by the American Horror Story guy. And it was just like, it was just like so many Quicksilvers. Yeah.
And then in WandaVision, they had that little Easter egg there. I didn't get that far, but I heard Evan Peters makes an appearance a couple times.
He was in Deadpool. I know he did an appearance in Deadpool in that one scene where they open the door and he's just like, Deadpool is my absolute favorite, by the way, in case that isn't abundantly clear.
I love Deadpool too. Deadpool's pretty cool.
Yeah, before I saw the movie, I had friends who liked Deadpool and stuff, and I couldn't get past the mask and the costume. I was just like, I don't get it. And then I saw the movie, and I'm like, I get it. Okay, this is awesome. And I haven't looked back, and now he's my favorite.
It's kind of like, it's going to be one of those characters that kind of like just live in infamy, right?
Yeah.
Similar to I'm a 90s kid. So every time in Halloween I see Ghostface, Scream.
Yes.
I go, I remember when that was just starting to be a thing. And now you can't go a Halloween without seeing at least 5 or 6 Ghostfaces.
Yeah, it's so true. And then they make them with the changes, they have the ghost faces that bleed from their eyes and stuff and then they have the glow in the dark ghost faces. Yeah.
So and Scream has a part in my heart because that was one of the very first horror through our horror films I got to watch.
Aw.
So it's just like, oh, Ghostface. But that's another podcast. Uh, 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 we are hitting the half minute mark, half hour mark. So I wanted us to talk about, spend this last half hour to talk a little bit about our different platforms. And because I know a lot of people come with me in my comic session or through email asking me like, hey, I want to do what you do. What's your advice? And even being, I hate the word influencer.
Yeah.
I really do. And because we're currently sitting at, last time I checked, I want to say it's either 1,600 or 1,700 subscribers. So I still consider ourselves pretty small beans. But it's nice to know that people want to hear about the back end, right? The background.
Absolutely.
So, and I know your forte is TikTok and Instagram mainly, right?
Yeah, and Twitter. Twitter gets a bad rap, but it's amazing for SEO. So I like Twitter too. I like them all. I like Facebook a little bit. Facebook for you know what it is? It's the separation. Facebook is for the people that you actually know. LinkedIn and Twitter are good for business because I own a marketing company and a book publishing company. It's good for that. But TikTok and Instagram, that's where my people are. That's where I could talk about nerdy stuff. Or, I just made a video about SpongeBob last week. If I post that video about SpongeBob on Facebook, people be like, you're 27. Why are you posting about SpongeBob? That's weird. But on TikTok, I posted that and everybody's like, oh my God, I love that scene. That was amazing. Can you talk about the time he, delivered pizza? Sure. So yeah, it's each platform has its own place. So yeah, TikTok and Instagram are definitely the most fun.
So I will start out by starting talking about a little bit about YouTube. And I want to, for the people who are new viewers, I won't bore too much, but I'm going to give a little bit background into the journey of ENN, Entertainment Nerd News. Okay. So first of all, I want to start by saying that this process, if you're looking to enter this sphere, the social media sphere, one, have a thick skin. And I see you smiling, so I think you agree there.
I'll tell you, one of my first experiences, I was 16 years old, and I think I haven't met a person who hasn't had similar experience. 16 years old, I posted a video myself parodying Katy Perry's song Firework, and I made it about milk, and I was being humorous. I got so many comments from other girls saying, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, all this stuff, and it broke me for like a year. I didn't post anything, and I was like, what do I care? And it was a terrible experience. I'm almost glad because now people can say anything to me. I get nasty comments every day, and I'm fine. I laugh. I'm like, okay, they have their own personal stuff going on. It's not anything against me. So yeah, get that thick skin early, and you'll be able to take anything.
Mm-hmm. Also, advice number 2 I would give right off the bat is to be patient. This is not something you're not going to have $1,000 in your bank account tomorrow. You're not even going to have $10 in your bank account tomorrow. Or in a year, or maybe not even 2. It's a long, long game.
Yep.
Would you agree there?
Talk on that. I at 16 started that YouTube account. Over the past 10 years, I got maybe 10,000 total views. I mean, like not a lot of views at all. It's not until this year I started posting on TikTok. I get about 4 million views a month now. It's not because I'm posting different content. It's just sometimes it's the platform. YouTube, it's tougher to rank. I don't know. It's the way that their platform is and stuff. They show the popular videos and you have to be popular, get popular. It's kind of a never ending circle. But on TikTok, you actually have the discoverability. So sometimes it is about being patient. It's about waiting for the right platform to come out. It's about finding your people. And it's also about strategy because that's the other difference. You're 16 posting on YouTube. You don't know how to do your keywords correctly and stuff, but I learned how to do it correctly for TikTok. And that's why. So don't just wait for people to come to you as well. You could also look up ways to promote.
Right. And I would say, like, for me, for instance, like our reach really, we started on YouTube, so that's our main platform. But actually, YouTube is probably, if I had to rank where we are doing the best at, YouTube is actually the lowest because it's the hardest to rank on.
Yeah.
Like our videos don't really get like 1,000 views or anything, but it's using your description box and stuff like that to capitalize and have people maybe come see you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like our website or a podcast, Anchor, by the way, check us out. It'd be in the description. Or, social media or what have you. So it's very much diversify is another advice I would give. Is because if you put all your balls in one basket, you're shaping yourself up to fail.
Yeah, totally. 100%. As some people say, niche down, know your audience. I mean, there are certain niches where, I have a friend who has a wedding photography business, and she posts on Pinterest. Like, yeah, you do Pinterest. That's great for you. Maybe that's going to be a little bit better for you than like a Facebook or LinkedIn. But for most people, I think diversifying, you could share the same content in multiple places, just, edit your descriptions and stuff. So instead of, posting a bunch of hashtags on Twitter where you should only have like 2 or 3 hashtags, on Instagram, do like 30 hashtags, but you can still put the same photo or video with hashtags. And speaking of which, Instagram is moving to become more of a shopping/video platform than photos. So bizarre. Well, it makes sense because TikTok just kind of came and swooped them up, and everybody's like, man, Instagram is boring now. But big changes going on social.
So for what I'm hearing, as far as Instagram goes, if you have a Teespring or you have a Amazon store, you probably lean on Instagram to help with that traffic.
Yeah. They have their store set up and stuff. I personally don't know many people who shop through Instagram, though. I mean, I'm sure they're out there because they're making a ton of money. I just, I've seen people on, or even myself on TikTok, you put a link and people will click that and be like, oh, cool. But Instagram is really leaning into the shopping features.
Nice.
Yeah.
We do a lot of one thing I would say about YouTube is don't be afraid to reach out and grow your community, or definitely organically, but don't be afraid to reach out to like-minded people. And when I say that, don't go into comment sections and spam, but if there's somebody who's doing similar to something that you are doing, like that's what happened with how Entertainment Nerd became Entertainment Nerd News, is because Entertainment Nerd, combined with Nerd News Happy Hour, and we created Entertainment Nerd News. And that's why, and you could watch that journey on our YouTube channel. It's all archived. I was just showing up in their comic session on their Twitch streams and just interacting, being part of their community. And eventually it's like, hey, do you want to be on our show? And a 1 appearance turned into 6 appearances, turned into 10 appearances. And finally, we just had a conversation one day, like, hey, listen, we're basically on each other's shows every week. Why aren't we just one thing?
That's awesome. That's very cool.
That's kind of how that happened. And that those, I'm pretty sure those type of things happen all the time. Yeah. It's just like, so don't be afraid to grow your community.
Yeah, very true. And it goes for Twitter, TikTok, all the platforms. I've met people online who became great friends even in real life. And yeah, it's totally true.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start with you. If you can sum this up, if you can give, let's say, a top 5 advice to somebody who's like, hey, how do I enter the TikTok, Instagram sphere? Or what's the first thing you would tell somebody who's new?
Number 1 is to make sure that your lighting is good and your audio is clear, especially the audio. If your audio isn't good, people just tune it right off. They skip. And actually put captions up as well. My first few my first probably 50 TikToks, I didn't have a ring light. My lighting was terrible. Nobody watched them. It wasn't because the content was terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was just bad audio, bad light. So I invested $20 in a ring light. I figured out where to record in my house that isn't very loud so that the audio will be better. I also got a microphone, but I don't really use the microphone. So just make sure you have that good audio and light, or else, I've seen the same thing, other accounts that they have good content. They're just not shooting. It's not clear. Yeah. Should I just keep listing, or are we going back and forth? I can keep listing. You
can keep listing.
That's all right. I think that next is to know your audience. Or at least do like a lot of actors are like, I'll make a movie for me, a movie for my audience. TikTok is kind of the same way. So I know that my audience, they love when I talk about SpongeBob or DC. My most viewed video was talking about how Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and I can't think of the other person, but Catwoman, they all wore glasses before they turned to the dark side, So I know my audience. I knew when I was making it, I said, oh, there are going to be people out there that are going to get this. They're going to think this is funny. Whereas when I started out, I thought I had to do what was trending. I thought, okay, well, I don't necessarily like, there was that show, something in Paris. It was a Netflix show. I'm like, well, I don't like that kind of show, but I know it's really popular. So let me make a video about that. And nobody watched it because they could tell I wasn't being genuine. So be genuine and know your audience is definitely my second. Mm-hmm. Third is to use trending sounds. And a quick way to know that's trending, there's usually a little blue TikTok symbol on the sound. Put that in. It really does help. Definitely gives you a little bit of a boost. And you can make it lower. So like a lot of my videos, I'll put the music down to like a 10 and I'll have my audio at like 110. And then I have the trending audio under me, but they can still hear what I'm saying. Yeah. And number 4 is for your covers. Definitely make sure that you do choose your covers, kind of like YouTube. People get their attention grabbed by what cover you have on your video or what thumbnail you have. So to put some thought into it, make it so that they could just by scroll. If they were on your page, if they were just scrolling, they know exactly what the video is about. So I usually give like a 1 sentence. So I made a video about how I got stranded on the parkway in my Volkswagen. So my title on my cover literally says how I got stranded on the parkway in my Beetle. And people were interested in that and clicked it and watched it because they knew right away what it was about. Right. And then the 5th is probably the most obvious, but it's just to have fun. People can tell when you're not. And oh my gosh, when you just plug something mindlessly without giving any kind of value, I see videos come up every so often where somebody's just like, hey, guys, buy my new guitar. It's out now. It's like, well, why? Why are you this isn't an ad. Why are you just plugging that? So, if that person though were to perform a song and then at the end say, hey, if you like this guitar, check it out. Okay, that's one thing. But, just coming on there and making it like an ad, it doesn't work for the platform.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I feel like some of our stuff is going to be pretty similar because, but I would say number one is your thumbnail because it's the first thing people see. Yep. You have to make sure, and that's something that even I and do a lot of a coordination with that. Do a lot of A/B testing, I would say. Yeah. I would say number 2 is your title. Number 3, I would say, is your description. Yeah. Number 4, I would say, would be engagement, meaning interacting in the YouTube community. Don't just post and have your account be dead otherwise. Like, engage with like-minded YouTube people. You leave useful comments, not spammy comments, but actually engaging in a conversation. Don't be plugging yourself. But I've noticed it actually works that if you're engaging with other YouTube channels, like, hey, this is my thoughts on that, or this is what I think, or cool video or whatever. Some people will notice your YouTube channel from that.
It's true. So,
and then number 5, I will say, have fun. Definitely have fun. Because if you're not genuine, if you're going on to what Morissa was saying, if you're doing something because it's trendy and for the hits, but you don't really care about it, it's going to show.
Yeah. Very true.
It's going to show. With that said, I hope this was insightful and I give people enjoy this conversation. If you want Morissa back, let me know. We definitely get that scheduled. I hope you had fun, Morissa.
I did very much so. I love talking about this stuff.
And we will definitely plan to hopefully have you meet the whole crew next time. So
beautiful.
With that, keep it nerdy, guys.